All right, welcome everyone to another episode of FitFam. This is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And this is Doug, the Formulator.
And we actually, I just got back in town, but both of us have been on the road a lot. I was just on the road for 4 days teaching doctors in Dallas. Dallas, forget sometimes.
Dallas, Doug.
And it was really, really exciting, but some things came up there, and Hilary had mentioned a few things that kind of led us to why we want to do this podcast today. For me, there were a lot of new doctors there. I think there was like 20 of the 80 that were brand new doctors, and
cool.
a lot of them were asking about, who we are and what we do. And I thought that was kind of neat to think that we have a new group really wanting to know a little bit more in depth about our history.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think you need to scooch over just a little bit more.
Okay.
Is that possible?
Oh, boom.
There. Okay. That makes me feel better. Okay, yeah, and I've had some people reach out and just say, why don't you do like a new introduction for the new year, about who you are individually, who you are as a couple, what we do as a family, what we do in our business, and maybe what our plans for the year. And she's so good. I refer to her and ask her for feedback all the time on the show or on the podcast, and also what she would want to hear more of. And the fact that she's like, reintroduce yourselves and put yourself out there. And Brooke.
Oh, Brooke.
Hi, Brooke. Love you. Kind of, she says she loves stories about maybe also, not only does she love to learn, so anything that we can put out there on the podcast where we can learn more about nutrition, exercise, mindset, that kind of thing. But she also loves like a good, go get them story. And so maybe we can kind of fill everybody in on our plans for the future and for this year, and why 2024 is going to be our year.
It is. It's already shaping up to be a phenomenal year. And so really what it comes down to, absolutely most important to us, is family.
Absolutely.
Number one.
And
so each other, our commitments to each other and helping each other achieve our goals together as a couple and individually. We do that a lot. And I think that's one thing that's helped us the most versus what I've seen out in the world, is being completely supportive of your spouse's goals outside of the family.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. And I would say that we've progressed as we've been married longer and done much better at that as we've been married longer. I know I'm usually the one that's a little bit behind and trying to keep up a bit. But Doug is pretty good, especially in the last 6, 7, 8 years of really honing in on what my personal goals are and being on board 100%. And I almost feel like half the time you get as much satisfaction in me pursuing my goals as I do.
Yeah, and I believe that for me, I get more satisfaction many times in helping Hilary or our children with whatever their desires are than my own. And it's a really cool place to be. And I just really enjoy it because you see other people reaching, their potential, and it's the coolest thing.
It's also Doug's ripe old age too, because he's very wise. He's been on this earth a lot longer.
It's not very nice.
So
You tell we've been married 23 years coming up here. And so 23 years. And so we were able to communicate that way.
What does that mean? She says things and I learned to not be upset at them.
Yeah, or say anything.
Oh, no, that's really smart. You're doing really well.
You'll all learn that. Anyways.
Okay,
So let's just tell a little bit about our family. We were a partial ready-made family, and then also ours. And it's turned out to be such a huge blessing because it's brought some phenomenal ability to look at just diversity and being able to work with different relationships in that. But
yeah, and that every family looks different. Family is different for everyone, and not every family is a cookie cutter. Only one mom, one dad for their entire lives. So when I married Doug, he had 3 boys. He had Bowen, Marley, and Braven, and Bowen was like preteen. And then Marley and Braven were 5 and 3. And I was Doug's 3rd wife, and Bowen has still his mother. Marley and Braven's mother passed away, and I adopted both of them. And then together, Doug and I had our daughter, Nevaeh. So there's lots of moms and a few dads involved in our situation. And we make it work. It's amazing. And it's been great. And our kids are grown. And so now we're on, that second half of our life where now our son Braven has been married for 4 or 5 years to Shelby, and they have 2 kids. We got our second grandchild this year, Rockwell. So we have Heber and we have Rockwell, and they're amazing. And Doug's oldest son, Bowen, we just found out that he is going to have a baby this year as well. And then our daughter, our youngest, Nevaeh, is getting married in April. And so our family just keeps growing, and it's amazing and fun and exciting and all the things. And being a grandparent is the best thing ever.
And you learn that really for the benefit of you as parents, that when you think you're empty nesters, you're not. And I said that to Hilary, and it's turned out to be that way, but in a different sense, meaning that it's a different chapter. But your children, if they were raised in a home to where it was a home and you have that feeling there, then they come back and they're still a part of things. And many times it's just the next phase, and you're helping them take care of different things in life, but you're still there as a parent, and it's a really cool phase. So it's not so much meaning that you become an empty nester and like they're gone forever and that, or that they're always just staying in your basement. It's neither of those. It's more like they're just moving on and growing, but they're still, the home base is nice for our home, and for them to be there. And that's a big deal to us, is to have that place, that refuge for family to come to.
Absolutely. I remember years ago saying to my brother-in-law, Vaughn, when all of my kids were younger, and saying, we had grown out of like maybe the diaper phase or whatever it was. And I just said, oh, I'm so sad. And I'm just going to miss this. And he says, oh, I never miss it. It was great. And it was amazing, but there's always a new stage in life. And I loved the way that thought resonated with me. And so we're just constantly entering these new phases, and different areas of life. So it's cool.
And that's where we're at now, just so you kind of get a feeling of that. But what's been really unique, I think, in our situation is our children were all raised in an extreme fitness, nutrition environment, right? And sure. They were raised very differently, we find out from others, because they tell us the peanut butter story.
Yeah. I've already shared it once, but here we go again. My kids were at a sandwich shop, and they brought a brownie, and Marley, the older of Marley and Braven, was eating it, and Braven took a bite, and he's like, what is that? And Marley's like, that's what real peanut butter tastes like. And my kids grew up not loving peanut butter because they always had the very, very healthy peanut butter that had nothing in it but like peanuts. And so they didn't know that peanut butter could taste sugary and delicious. And so anyways, that's just one fun little element.
Our children grew up in that environment, doing push-ups every night. It was always push-ups and prayer.
Oh my gosh, I love that you mentioned that, because I was listening to something on the treadmill this morning, and something popped into my mind, because they said somebody made a comment about you're not always crying. It's not always crying about something finishing or wanting to give up. It's the crying that you want to go forward and you want to do more. And they would be in like the 301st push-up, locked out, just crying. And I would be there telling them, you can stop, just stop. And in my brain, I was thinking they were crying because they wanted to stop, but they were crying because they wanted to do more.
They wanted to do more. And so our children were raised in that environment, and it's been really neat, because now that we're in this space where they're on their own, all of them are still health conscious and minded in their own way, right? They're all figuring it out on their own, but yet those principles have really carried over with them. And it goes back to a lot of the studies showing that the absolute most important factor when regards to anything, your health, your finances, family, everything that you can think of that you're going to go through in life, the number one factor is your environment. And it's one thing that we could try to stress the most, that we've seen being in this phase of life, right? Being married for decades and having the children being raised and now out on their own, is the environment is everything.
Yeah.
The environment of the home, the family, the time you spend with them, being present.
The environment in your brain, what you're listening to.
Absolutely. Super critical. So there we are. That's our family.
There we are.
And,
our youngest will be 21 this year. then Braven, who will be 26, Marley, who will be 28, and Bowen, who will be 34.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about each of us, maybe individually, and what it is that you do besides being most awesome mom and that to the family.
And wife.
And wife. Super awesomest wife.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, let's go into individual goals and our aspirations and that kind of thing. And I think they've progressed as I've continued to mature and get older. And from a very young age, I loved bodybuilding. I loved the female body. I loved muscle. I loved strength. And so when I was younger, I would watch the Olympia. They used to play it on TV when I was young. I would watch the Olympia, and I would love watching these women do these routines where they both looked graceful and very fit and strong. And there was something beautiful about that to me. And so once I realized that was kind of something that I could pursue as sort of a career and hobby, it was a done deal. And that was kind of what I wanted to do, but before I ever saw a beautiful body and love that, I loved babies, and I loved the concept of being a mom. And so being a mom and a wife was something that I at 2 or 3 years old, I can remember holding a baby or holding a baby doll, and just that feeling just was one of the most amazing feelings to me. So anyway, so being a mom, and then once I learned that I could also have my own path and my own career, that's kind of what I wanted to do. And I feel like as I've progressed and we've been together a really long time, and I've gotten further in my bodybuilding career, I feel like I also have this different segue and area that I can help women understand and move towards their own goals and personal dreams and pursuits, because eventually your children do leave you and they pursue their own goals and dreams and families, and it's amazing and it's so fun to be a part of it, but you are separated from them in a way that you never have been before. And so being able to hone in on something that you two are passionate about and can pour yourself into is I think really beautiful and really important as your children leave to pursue their own lives.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that one thing that's overlooked with parents now is they think that they need to sacrifice, and they're being actually selfless by not doing anything.
Pouring everything they have into
everything they have in the children. And then you do have that. You have that syndrome to where the kids leave and there's, what's left, that type of thing. But also, if your children don't see that you have passions and you have goals, and they see you make sacrifices for those, then remember, environment is everything. And so now they're going to go out, and they actually will not realize that they could set those goals for themselves and be strong, especially many times with whatever spouse is the one not, the main breadwinner. And I think that that's really important. And I could see that in our children, that they saw their mom was there, never missed anything important. I remember a couple bodybuilding shows, I got really upset because Hilary did the 12-week cut, got all ready. Then one of our kids made the playoffs or something, and so she didn't do the show. Children, family first.
He didn't get upset. He would rather be at the kids' things anyways. Don't let him fool you.
It's a little heartbreaking. No, but it was where we needed to be. And the children saw that, so that when Hilary would make the sacrifices in the gym at other times, they could say, man, that's motivating, instead of, my mom's not here anymore. They knew when she needed to be there, she would be there, but they saw that she had goals and passions. And I really think that's a great principle that you could inspire others with. And so from my standpoint, being the patriarch and provider of the family, and that, I think that a lot of times your children realize that you're going to be going to work. And they expect that. And that's why I think it's so unique and important for the women or whoever it is that's going to be staying at home to be able to have their goals and their aspirations. And
or to understand that you can have both, that you can work and you can be a mom and you can be a wife and you can have it all. You can do it all. But eventually your kids do leave. And so you do need something that you can love and that you can pour yourself into. And so also bodybuilding has been a lifesaver for me in many ways. Mentally, it's somewhere where I can get out aggression. It's somewhere where I can cry. It's somewhere where I can grow. It's somewhere where I can laugh. And it's somewhere where I can see actual physical results of my hard work. And that's really special and precious to me. And it's somewhere that I have grown closer to not only myself, my soul, but my spouse and my kids. We were in the gym constantly together growing up as they were lifting with us. And
the gym being a real room in our home that we made into a gym. Now we actually have a big gym at our house behind it, but they grew up in that room and, laying on the floor while we're doing things, or they were doing on their own.
Our gym has been in our bedroom. Our gym has been in a back sunroom. Our gym has been in a garage. Our gym has been in a guest room. And now we have our own ginormous gym, which, they've also been able to partake in the last 6 or 7 years.
Absolutely. And the thing is that they are present. And I think some of our best discussions together and also with our children have been there, because when you're exercising, you get that dopamine release and it does open your mind, and you're able to have that discussion with your children, with your spouse, and with others at a higher frequency. And I think it's a really great thing to do as a family, especially if you have a hard time communicating.
Agreed. I wholeheartedly agree. Marley was in trouble a lot growing up just because Doug was gone for some time and I was a little bit on my own trying to parent him, and sometimes I did not the best, but he also wanted to fight with me on certain things, and Marley was in trouble a lot. But the one place that we could come together was in the gym, and we were on the same page in the gym, and we worked hard in the gym together. So I love those memories. Yeah. But moving on, so it was 20 years ago that I started my bodybuilding career. Nevaeh was almost a year old when I did my first bodybuilding show. I loved it. I was hooked. There was no doubt it was something I wanted to pursue. And I did for a few years. And then we had some family things that came up, some ginormous trials in our lives. And so that had to be put on hold. Family was first, and it just was not in the books at that time. So fast forward into 2015, we took that whole year. We prepped. We really pursued the goal. And in 2016, I became a professional natural bodybuilder. And I've been doing it ever since. This year will be my 9th consecutive natural Olympia. Super pumped about it. And
won the USA's 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
3-time Miss Natural Olympia, Figure Masters.
Yeah.
A lot of great accomplishments, fun times all over the world.
All over the world. What bodybuilding has provided outside of the whole mental game and the physical and all that, it's also provided this entirely new environment of exploration. We explore all over the world, and we get to meet incredible people all over the world and people that I compete with in the States. And I've made some incredible friends, and it's amazing. It's done so much for our life. Absolutely. I think. Do you want to kind of give it into your personal?
We'll go through a little bit of the history, and I think one thing, maybe a good segue, is that most of our family trips have to do with either something going on with my work or our businesses work together, or Hilary's bodybuilding. And I've had some people say, well, how do you do that? Like, why would you have your family vacations be a part of it, of like a big bodybuilder show? We went to London last year, right? We've been to Greece, so we're going to Singapore here in a month or two. And the fact of the matter is when there's sacrifice made, like, Hilary's training, and sometimes our kids have trained for the world championships and competed too, it makes the vacation that much better, because we're working towards something, and you have this event, and then we get to enjoy the rest of it. And it's actually really, really neat.
Yeah. And I think too, what we've learned throughout the years is that you're your best you when we can kind of intermingle the two. And I know that probably sounds very foreign to a lot of people, and they do not like that concept. But if Doug can get a little bit of work in, and then we can also get some play in, it's the best day. And so realizing that we have the opportunity to go to a lot of the places and experience a lot of the things that we do because of your work and our work kind of opens up the possibility of it's okay that it also combines our play.
Absolutely. And I think, for me, the background, just the quick version is got into nutrition, exercise physiology, and because of a deep passion, it opened a lot of doors. Working as a personal trainer, having a personal training business, doing all that opened some doors to where started working with some athletes and eventually became a nutritionist for the NBA, for the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs. And through that process, developed a system to help people reach their peak performance. And that system involved what we talk about right now as our acronym of fitness. And since this is for people that are new, we use an acronym that encompasses everything so you can be holistic in your health approach. And that acronym is broken down into also systems of doing blood work, of being able to know exactly what the body needs, to formulating products. We formulate our products here in our facility, and have been, in that business now for, 25 years. And we have all the systems in place to help people.
Been in it longer than that.
It's been to help people reach optimal health, whether it's doctors helping their patients, whether it's athletes, whether it's the public, the moms and dads, the children in school, that we help them with these systems of focused, intense thought is the FIT of fitness.
Yeah, nutrition is the N, exercise is the E, and then
Specific supplementation, right, is the SS. So we have these systems that focus on those things, the mindset, nutrition, exercise, and supplements. And we teach those to all these groups, and everyone's different. Individuals, right, to the schools, to mainly the doctors. We spend the majority of our time training doctors. And that's what we do. And then in the probably last, how long, 3-4 years, we've taken it a step further because a lot of people wanted to be trained or be coached to reach their highest level of performance by us as a couple because of the great things that Hilary's done and her expertise in very specific areas, and then just overall, and in my areas, and overall, and just together as a couple. And so we started doing concierge health coaching, and so we do that together, and we enjoy it. We love it. It's almost more of a hobby than it is anything else.
It's incredible, and we get to meet the most incredible people and people that are changing the world and doing amazing things, and it's such a blessing to be able to do it. And so I think I think there was a time in my life when I separated, what Doug did as a profession, and then yes, we led a healthy lifestyle, and then kind of my job as mom. But really, once I finally understood that this was our mission and it was our responsibility to be able to help people understand the importance of their health and their fitness, that kind of helped me create a new identity for us and for myself. And
created that over the top moment. So it's that.
whoop.
Yep. And so absolutely.
What movie?
Over
the
top.
top.
The top movies in the world.
It's not a top movie at all.
And so it was a really cool time that you did that, because it was this flip. It was that switch. And the second Hilary made that switch, I think her frequency and aura, if you would, is so powerful. When she makes a flip like that, great things happen. And the second that happened, all of a sudden the floodgates opened, and some of the top executives in the world, male and female, started reaching out, wanting us to do the concierge coaching. And up to today, we leave in 2 days to go on our East Coast tour of some of our concierge clients, some great ones, and meeting with them, and then we play after that.
What do we do after it, Doug?
Well, we meet with a lot of great clients,
right? And then what do we do?
And then we do our second anniversary boat trip with our musical friends.
The Monsters of Rock cruise. That's not a joke. It's funny. It's funny, but that's what we're doing for the next. Yeah, after we visit with clients, Doug gets to party on a ship with all of his favorite bands from 11 a.m., 10 a.m.?
10 a.m. until 1 at night.
Until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
50 bands.
5 days. Doug doesn't drink. So everybody understands, Doug does not drink. He won't even take a sip of alcohol. So when I tell you he's partying, what I mean is he's standing there with his apple in his hand and his big drink of water, maybe hot chocolate. He'll live on the edge and have hot chocolate. And he is just headbanging to these groups all day, every day. It's amazing. Anyways.
It's awesome stuff. They all want to be there. It's sold out. That's how big a deal it is. They sold out. They sell out?
They said 100% they sold out.
Okay.
Because there's a group of people, as crazy as we are. It's like It's like the 80s hair bands, but not like the really big hair bands. But there's a few.
They're big.
Really?
My favorite.
Mention one or two.
Judas Priest, Winger.
Okay, those are the better ones for sure. Anyways, so we're gonna.
People are getting bored,
Yeah,
so let's go.
yeah.
So basically,
Anyways,
we wanted to do the origin story a little bit to hopefully resonate with some of you. Like, I would like to know some of those things that they teach as nutritionists and personal trainers, and as a family to the children, and to the doctors, and that some of those things that might be important to you, that you could learn and be able to make some changes in your life. And the thing that we're focusing on the most of, and that's really opened up this year for Hilary to say this is going to be a phenomenal year for us, because every year we've had growth in almost in every area, right? In our relationship, with our family, financially, with the business, being able to touch more lives. And we've been able to set goals to have that growth, but we've really narrowed in, because one of our clients has helped a lot to teach us about becoming your future self now. And that's what we're really doing this year, saying, really 3 years from now, who would we want to be? And speaking to us from 3 years out. And that helps us know what we should do each day. And it's really helped you a lot with putting yourself out there.
it has. It for sure has. And I do want to say, as we have experienced a lot of growth in the last few, every year, just, compounding and doing better, it doesn't mean that we haven't also experienced resistance, and we haven't experienced hard times and things that we have had to overcome. But we have really worked on mindset and what it means to face adversity and face fear, for myself especially, where fear is sometimes more of a crippling thing than it is a motivating factor. We are trying to flip the script and really make things work in our favor, and know that there is a creator that is working for us. And yeah, so a few years ago, speaking of goal,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw your face.
That's good.
Your face said something else.
It was awesome.
Okay. So a few years ago, Doug and I were somewhere, and he's always big on goals, right? Write down your goals. Write down your goals. Not just to me, everyone, write down your goals. So this one time we were traveling in a bus. I think we were in Cancun maybe, and we were writing down our goals for the next year. And I wrote down this goal to speak publicly, to try to inspire other people in some form, if I could, to speak on stage in front of others. And Doug's like, "Piece of cake, let's do this." And I was like, no, whoa. It's just a goal. It's just like sometime in the future, I want to be able to do that. So, different things have been put in my path and allowed me different opportunities, and I've met them pretty well.
Really well.
And recently was asked by somebody if I would speak this year to, I think
About 1,500 people.
Yeah, like 15, maybe 3,000. I don't know. Anyways, and I'm so excited. I am full of something. I don't know what the word is. It's a little bit of fear, but it's also excitement. And I'm really excited to see what I can put together on paper and convey to other people. So
you get to speak on stage with the coach's coach, Josh Tilley, with Grover, Michael Jordan's trainer, the muscle himself, Chris Smith. Like, the people that she's speaking with on this event is like, I speak a lot of times each year, probably 15, 20 times minimum a year.
Minimum, yeah.
And she's like jumped from like here to here in one fell swoop. But
I haven't done it yet. I mean, I've committed, but it hasn't happened yet.
Definitely.
Anyway, so just the power of a written goal is massive, and the power of where you want to be, where you want to end up, where you're trying to get to, is so important. And if you will work to find a plan to get there and do the things that it takes, and constantly reinvent yourself, constantly be trying to be more positive, and realize that the world and the creator is working for your good, and really, whether it's an obstacle or not, it's an obstacle for your good. Man, it's such a cool place to be, because opportunities keep popping up.
And what's interesting too, and we'll kind of maybe close with this a little bit, an analogy is that, like Hilary said, obstacles keep coming up when you're being your future self, when you're putting yourself out there and you're setting your goals, but they don't look like obstacles anymore in the way they used to.
There you go. The
And
way they used to.
the best example of that we've been teaching, even back, we used to go to schools and teach this, is that if your why is big enough, your why is big enough, everything along the way you mentally look at as a stepping stone. But if your why isn't big enough, your goal isn't, then everything along the way is a stumbling block. And they're still the same things, because you can't have growth without resistance. We can't build muscle without resistance. It has to be there. And the amount that's needed to be there will be there for you to reach your goal. But we know when we're lifting weights and we have the resistance, we can't go anymore. We don't just quit because we're like, oh, dang, it got too hard. It's like, awesome, that's what we needed, because we want the goal. Our why is bigger in the gym, right? But in life, many times it's not big enough. So if you decide who you are in the future right now and say, okay, that's who I am. That's what, absolutely. And I trust that my Creator is going to help me get there, going to open up the floodgates now that I've spoken it. Everything along the way is just like doing those last few reps. It's hard, it's tough, whatever comes, but it's going to make you stronger so that you can achieve that goal. And if we can get that principle across to people, then we've done our job, because the sooner you learn that in life, the further you get.
Yeah. And I feel like the more you see your future self as it could be, the more your future self comes running towards you to meet you. So I think that's really big. Man, when we were going to start this, I wanted to, like, the song? Allow me to reintroduce myself. Do you know that?
Yeah.
I was going to start like that.
On the boat.
No, they're not. No. Wrong singers, for sure. For sure. Anyways.
And really, we're excited because we decided to put ourselves out there, and not everyone will like our lifestyle or the way we teach or believing in your future self or frequencies and energy. You hear a lot about that type of stuff that we work with, and that's okay. But we wanted also to put it out there for those that might feel inspired to watch the journey, especially now, this fast pace that's going to happen even faster than we're used to, that you'd be open to look at some of the different podcasts, because we have a lot of different subjects on health, mindset, nutrition, exercise, supplementation. We're going to be bringing guests on.
Yeah.
And if so, make sure you click the button on here to subscribe, but also the little bell, because then it'll give you notifications as to when the next podcast comes out, so that you'll be notified, and would love to hear your feedback.
Is our next one a deep dive?
We're going to do a deep dive. We've been asked a lot to go deep dive into different areas of nutrition, exercise, supplements. We're actually going to go a deep dive into a supplement arena that is very controversial now, and they've gone off the beaten path and really messed things up. And so make sure you stay tuned to next week also.
Wow, that's exciting. Okay.
And as always, this is Miss Natural Olympia, Hilary.
And this is Doug, the Formulator.
Keep chilling.
Thanks for joining us.